We welcome you all to Ellie Goldsmith's Relationship Flow. This is a new year, a new beginning. We are already a week almost into this new year. Thankfully, I'm sitting in my office again in Jerusalem. I don't have to be in quarantine, thankfully, even though I was in the Ukraine, in Uman, Rosh Hashanah. I actually did not stay for Yom Tov in the end. That's a very personal reason why I had to come back last minute. But the blessing is that my son came back healthy and well and back into Jerusalem, which was one of my main intentions in going. And I also got to experience some amazing moments there, which I'll talk about more in Amunah as our future podcast, which will be going live hopefully tomorrow. And there's an opportunity there to also catch up with what's been going on a spiritual level and all the different Unity Flow as well, because we'll hopefully cover some of that there. Also, the Unity Flow podcast we're putting on hold until we get back to the Pulver EDU course, which I put the link for the new series beginning in October. And we will give an update as the festivals here come to a climax in the month of Tishrei, in the Jewish month of Tishrei, or September in the general month. And being that this is a new year, we have an opportunity to put out some new energy in the Relationship Flow podcast. My wife, my soulmate, my beloved Teeny Pops 613, yes, you can get that on Instagram, will be coming out with hopefully new content this new year on her Instagram, Stage Her Life for Living, that stage of the life or her life or their life for living. You'll see it put out new content hopefully as the next few weeks. It's just been a very, very busy, challenging time. So therefore, I'm personally going to take over this flow until she's able to come back here and join me, because it was a much more successful experience, not just because you guys tripled in listening, but also the ability to have my soulmate on the Relationship Flow really added to the quality of the content, because you get to see from my soulmate, the full picture of what we're talking about here. Nevertheless, I'm going to go into something which is a bit more challenging. I do believe that we're going through very challenging times. I don't think it's just a personal thing, because I do feel that what happens on a personal level is definitely mirrored in what's going on generally. That's been my experience of life. I'll give you some examples. I personally say every year, and a daily level, a psalm, a Tehillim of the year. It's I think, a Lubavitch Chabad custom, which I picked up being about tshuva, that we pick up a lot of different things. And my wife, I think, also does it as a soulmate, but she's generally saying psalms on a daily level and finishing it weekly. So she's already covering it every week anyhow. But for me, who I only say the whole psalms once a month, because I do a few every day, I decided to add one additional psalm a day, which is the psalm of my birthday. So it's always the coming year psalm. So right now I'm saying Psalm 42, being that I'm 41. And the previous year I said Psalm 41 because I was 40 and going to become 41. That's how we measure the birthday. It's the coming year that you say the psalm of. And basically I started saying the psalm of 41 on Purim as the coronavirus began. And, that whole mass change in flow in life and the bookings and everybody's life on a real level, with all the different rules and travel restrictions, and the fact that my family still haven't seen their grandparents for almost 2 years, and the lack of family contact generally, even here in Israel, has been exasperated, and generally people are suffering, and then also individually, and it's something which we need to face and be real about as we go into a new year. And especially right now during the 10 days of repentance coming up to Yom Kippur, it's a profound time to really pray and seek out a time of mercy, as we'll talk about more in Amunah is our future podcast. But the point I'm getting at is I said Psalms 41 during this whole time period, and that's connected all about illness and healing. And I felt very connected to globally that began that on Purim, when I think I first got corona and was able to experience, on a mild level. I don't think it was anything too heavy, thank God. And I got the, what they call the immune system, and also the antibodies to deal with it, because I've been tested almost a bit less than a year later, and either had it again or it had the antibodies very strong. So I have a recovered status, etc., as many people do. And being that, we're going through that challenge that whole year, I realized that it would be opportunity to really work on more content, and that's part of why the Relationship Flow podcast has now got its own blog and a lot more online experience. We've kept up all the content as much as possible, even though it's been challenging with the family, the kids and everybody, and just even financially, emotionally, mentally. I think that the mental health crisis has more than tripled. I would say it's 10x, and I think personally that it's more of an issue than the actual dangers of the virus, the mental health situation. I've been speaking to people. I was just in Oman. I spoke to a global expert there who's got massive amount of data and is actually in contact with the main people of the Israeli administration who are making the rules of they call them the SARS corona or whatever, and then there's same in America as well, and all the different data that they've put together, specifically with the Jewish communities worldwide, that the mental health crisis is the main issue. And I think that being that we are now in a Relationship Flow podcast, being that we're in that context, and the psalm that we began this Purim with the hope that it would be the end of the coronavirus, Psalm 42, which is a much more joyous psalm, not dealing with illness now, more to do with salvations through thanking and joy. And I mean, you can read these psalms; they're both very profound. And for me, they're my birthday psalms the last 2 years. And I realized that we're not totally through this. There's the fact that there is still a challenge, the fact that there's pressure now for the third vaccine, and then also that's the booster shot or booster dose, and then there's also the changing of the rules consistently and constantly, and with the travel restrictions and the amount of extra paperwork, and in terms of testing, I think I must have had 4 tests on my way to Oman, which is a lot, going there and coming back within a few days of traveling, and it's expensive and it's also time consuming. And it was also, one of them was actually very painful. The Matter do a great job. My wife's actually learning to be a chovesh, so she's respect for the organisation. But the volunteer who was working there started stabbing my nose and my mouth to the point where I started vomiting almost. And they thought it was very funny, which I wasn't finding it funny at all. But I didn't do anything, because we're learning here in the Relationship Flow that we have to always keep working on ourselves and not to, react to everything, to be proactive. That's part of our Unity Flow, United Souls course. We're learning to be reactive is not the right way, but being proactive is the correct way to deal with every difficult situation. And that's our hope here, that we'll have the strength, the fortitude to bring to our relationship, that even if we're going through challenges, we still are holding strong. We realize, once again, as we've mentioned in the previous episodes, and we've spoken in the intimacy series, and now with the soulmate appearing here with this journey together, being on the same journey, the oneness, the ability to regroup, all the amazing things that we discussed with my wife, and the idea of keeping going, keep simple, keep thanking, keep positive, emotional stamina. These are all such important aspects to relationship, that the fact that we're unified and going with the flow, that gives us the ability, as the challenges grow, and that could be with divorce, or not with my wife, but with other people in the family, or other things that are going on, that can get very difficult. Some of the children not behaving amazing, especially if they have to be in quarantine or different situations, but now with the school system, and it can get very difficult. So we need to remind ourselves of all the principles of the relationship, and our goals and our dreams and our values, and regroup at night time when we're not with the children, and try to find that moment of connection. Intimacy wise, it's very important to make that the priority. I mean, personally, coming back from Uman Rosh Hashanah was a big step, but it allowed me to be at home for my family and prioritize my wife, my children, and in a difficult time that one of the family members is going through, and be able to be there and to really love and dedicate the Yom Tov to that. And that gave hopefully a lot of merit to the prayers and to everything we're doing, to be able to pray together with most of my children. And in the meanwhile, before I left, set up my son, he should have make it back safely, and so too he was able to travel back with good friends, Nissim Black and his friends, and it allowed for a safe trip back and a successful trip back. And we have to appreciate the process of being focused on family. Family first is the ideal, and that's what we're aiming towards. That from there, once we've built the strong foundation within the family, then we can do the hosting of the guests, which is something right now I've been saying no to a lot, because the family first has once again been the main focus. And as much as all those years I loved hosting, 5 to 10 students at a time, or even a few, at least on a weekly level, now, even though we're still getting requests, I've been saying recently that it's not an option really for us, at least for the last month or so. And as hard as that is for me, because I love connecting with students and people, but I would say one more thing, and we're going to make that the cover photo of this relationship flow today, is the importance of laughing together. And I'll give it a funny story that happened. So we brought my son back and everything, and before that we went out to Coffee Bean just to get a drink and just to get ourselves together before it would get busy with the weekend and everything. And my wife asked me to come sit closer to her, so I moved chair, and she said, "Oh, wait a minute, it's near the drain." So there was a drain, but I didn't see there was two drains. So the drain I saw, I moved away from, but the problem was I moved away from one drain and my chair leg moved into the other one that she had seen, but for some reason wasn't able to communicate that I was another one. And I went flying back off the chair, and it was a packed Coffee Bean. We're talking about so many people outside. It was the outside area in the sun and everything. There was so much people there, and funny enough, nobody laughed. Everyone was very concerned. It was a very not good fall. I'm bruised all the way on my side and my back, and thank God, I've been having stress and my back was playing up, and I have a whole approach to that, which we'll talk about at some point in Relationship Flow, in terms of back pain based on John Sarno, which has been very helpful. I'm sure people have heard of that. My wife and I really went on a journey dealing with our emotional stress, and therefore transferred the challenge from physical pain that manifests to actually emotional struggles, to deal with our emotional stuff and face our stuff, rather than have all these physical manifestations. And it's a very important concept, but here now I actually really hurt myself. Like I was actually really dealing with not just with stress, but it was bruised and everything. So they came running over with a cup of water, and in the past I've had a fall before where I actually ended up in the hospital because my finger was broken, and my wife once again was there for me, and she helped me up just like then. And then I was able to sue the tram company because they were very negligent with how they were driving, because I almost crushed someone, and in order to not do that I had to move and broke my finger in half. But anyway, after this story I looked at the manager and I gave him a look, but he was not really fazed. He just kept being concerned that we were okay and gave me water, and I sort of subconsciously, and maybe with my wife and I, just decided, we're not going to take this further other than just enjoy the drink that we had sitting there. Thank God it hadn't spilt. None of my phones had broken. Everything was functional other than I was in pain. And I just sat there and we looked at each other. After everyone, stopped looking at us and the scene had calmed down, we just started laughing. And that laughing was so healing and so helpful to just get rid of so much tension that we were going through on so many levels, with so much challenges ahead of us and behind us, and a busy week of prayer, a lot of praying going on during this time period, and to really tune into the moments but not get overwhelmed by the obligations of the time, with the fast day already just been through one and then coming to another fast day in Yom Kippur this week actually right now. So just to laugh it off, just to really laugh. And that's what it says when Mashiach comes and the Messiah comes. We're then going to laugh. The whole idea of laughter is so important to heal everything, the trauma of exile, the trauma of our lifestyle nowadays. And, for me personally, I just feel that I was very blessed to have a wife and a soulmate that we could just sit together and not get angry or embarrassed or anything like that, but just laugh. And I think that really made a profound difference for the rest of that time and the rest of the weekend. That the relationship flow needs moments of just letting go, of just rejoicing together that we're together, even if something embarrassing and difficult has happened and there's been harder things than that. But just to be able to laugh, be able to not take it so seriously, to realize that we're here together to go through life and enjoy it at the same time, face it and deal with it. And there's that sort of balance of joy and happiness and letting go, together with being serious and real and facing the issues and praying and doing all the right things. And that's where we're at. So anyway, I just want to wish everybody, as we say in our holy books, Gemar Chasima Tova, everyone should be sealed for a complete sealing of good life and happiness and joy together with their soulmate. Excuse me. I look forward to joining you again, hopefully soon. It's going to be Sukkot after Yom Kippur, and that's a busy time as well. So I'm not sure when the next relationship flow will come, possibly next Sunday. And then after that, we hope, after Sukkot, after the festival of joy, and we're really, truly joyous in our homes and our Sukkot and our Simchas Torah experience, then we can bring that into the rest of the year, as we spoke in the previous episode as well. You can go there, explain this a bit more. But that beautiful moment of just laughing, and that beautiful moment of letting go, and that beautiful moment of bringing together, reminding ourselves of what we're here for in our relationship, that life isn't just about pain and struggle and difficulty, but it's also moments of joy. That balances out everything, the whole challenges that we're going through. And once again, I see that manifest in the Psalms I'm saying for my birthday, and how everything flows, everything you're doing has a flow to it. And with that, you can have a strong relationship that lasts eternally and is blessed with long life. Amen. Thank you for sharing your relationship flow. Check out the links below, and we'll be seeing you soon. Much love.